Hey everybody, good evening. We just watched the FEH Choose Your Legends channel. And now we're going to take a look at Turn of Fate, which is the skills trailer. And chat is here with me this time. They're just chilling over here at youtube.com/@KCBBrian. Getting in on the fun. They're probably going to be talking amongst themselves over who their favorite option is. So feel free to get into that in the comments if you're interested. But I'm going to go ahead and hit play. I feel like we've seen pretty much everything else so far from the Fate channel specifically.
I am certain.
Dude, dude, Corin I think Corin looks the best. Am I crazy? Am I just pro Corin over here?
And now that the path I chose was correct.
She chose the correct path. Oh, dude, the vein stuff is so sick. Oh, we're gonna have a scroll. We got a scroll. We got a skill scroll, chat. Oh, I love it. So she does come with Armored Flow. We talked about Realms United. This is basically her juiced up counterattack, but she's getting 7 flat damage reduction, and then she's also Omni debuffing by 7 if foe initiates combat or if the foe's HP is greater than or equal to 75%. So she doesn't even have to be an enemy phase unit. This can kick in as long as the foe's HP is high enough. The Vala Stone is a really cool weapon. And this is where the Divine Vein stuff kind of comes into play. I talked about this in the Fate channel reaction, but it seems like we're going to start getting units that have skills that have Divine Vein pushed into said skill. And I think the newest Sparrow skill is indicative of that on Golveg, which I'm assuming is inheritable. We should be able to see here shortly based on the skill ring that's down there. But this does a lot, right? So like we have adaptive damage because, you know, she's a colorless armored dragon. Of course she's going to have adaptive damage. We have slaying after an axe if Canto triggers, after Canto applies Divine Vein Stone. Stone is this type of Divine Vein, so we're going to have multiple types of Divine Vein. I think that's really cool because there's only so many ways you can build a unit. I made this comparison when I was talking about God Swords, right? Like you can pretty much just put a standard God Sword build on any sword infantry unit that is fast and has decent defenses. And so you're basically just putting the same kit on a different PNG. This, with the Divine Vein effects, allow you to change the pace of the game by affecting tiles, which is not necessarily tied to whatever your kit is. Because it's affecting terrain, it's not just, you know, one versus another enemy. So I think that's a really cool way to take it. It's going to be a money sink more than likely. But I think it is a cool thing that they are doing. Her weapon is sick. I love her weapon. Armored Flow, we know what that is. And I think we're scrolling. Did we scroll? Did we scroll here? We did. So we have attack speed far save. We have Counter Roar 4, which looks to be inheritable. Chat, correct me. Is this inheritable? This seems to be inheritable. This is going to debuff attack speed. We're getting damage reduction from first attack, and then, you know, we're getting HP restoration. So kind of like the A skills that we have that do that. We got damage reduction, all kinds of things. So I think Corin made out pretty well, like genuinely.
Reclaim what is ours.
Like, it might be a safe design, but it's a really good design.
This is my path.
And she looks great. Her kit's really fun. Her weapon does something that's super unique. So this was another design that I thought was relatively safe, but really well executed. And I think that that is the overall theme of this Choose Your Legends. They played kind of safe, but everything is very well executed. And that is the difference between something like what Choose Your Legends 4 was to me personally. It just felt like different variants of like the legendary ults that the house leaders were going to get. And it looked very similar to me. So this is in a similar vein, but executed on a much higher level, in my opinion.
Fancy clothing won't disguise a lack of substance.
But he looks great. He looks great. And not only that, my man is so unique, he can pass off savior skills to people. Which is insane. I think the difference here, too, is that a lot of the units, all of them across the board, some feel like they have been maybe paid a little bit more attention to than others. We'll talk about that shortly here once Goldvig pops up. But they all feel very unique, all very distinct. And I love that because it shows that they put a little bit of care and attention into them, which there have been a couple Choose Your Legends in the past few years that haven't necessarily felt like that. So I feel like this is a return to form in kind of a safe way, but a very polished way. So we have Arcsage Tome. This is the thing that can do a sign decoy to any support partner within 2 spaces of unit, or if unit is not on a team with unit support partner, to an ally with the highest defense within 2 spaces for 1 turn. If unit is within 3 spaces of an ally, grants bonus to units attack, speed, defense, and res during combat equal to 5, plus the highest bonus on use stat between allies within 3 spaces of unit. Calculates each independently. And if unit's res is greater than foe's res, reduces damage from attacks during combat and from AoE specials by a percentage equal to the difference between stats times 4, max of 40, so a 10-point difference there. Assigned decoy is going to trigger Savior. Which is crazy. That's such a nutty thing to do. And this makes him so premium it hurts. So premium. It's pretty wild. I do sense a little bit of like engage stuff here, especially with the Corin and the Vayne, which I know is also a nod to obviously Fates, but I don't know. I feel like maybe specifically with Soren, probably not a lot of people have had a chance to play the Tellius games because A, they are systems that aren't easily accessible anymore, and B, even if you can find a copy, they're insanely expensive. So I think a lot of people with Soren in particular are going to be familiar with him from the Engage DLC. So that's kind of cool. We have Flare over here, which is basically like an HP siphoning special, and it likes to hit opponents that have high res because you're going to get more HP and boost your damage and all of that stuff. That's really cool. Soren's going to age well in particular because he does a res check. And we were talking about this in chat the last night or the night before. I don't know. It's been a minute. Res check units tend to age a lot better than those that do speed checks. So the fact that Soren here is doing a lot of res checking, I feel like that's going to make him withstand a lot better as time goes on. Typically anything that does a res check, they age a little bit more gracefully than stuff that does speed checks. So I love that for him. We have Rare Talent, which is his preferred A skill. This is basically giving us an Omni buff of 7, disables foes effects that calculate damage with lower defense or res. We're doing res checks. Okay, if the res is greater than or equal to 1, we're neutralizing effects that inflict special cooldown charge minus X. And if it's 10 or greater, and either foe's range is equal to 2, unit initiates combat, unit attacks twice. So we're getting like basically what is essentially a brave res check, essentially. And Soren, from the FEH channel, you can kind of see, I think he's got like mid-30s for base speed, which isn't bad. It's not bad, but it's not very fast. So the fact that we're getting a res check to do like additional attacks is really, really nice. And I really, really like that. That will again make him age a little more gracefully. He's also got Magic Null follow-up, which I'm sure is going to be his destined slot for the foreseeable future until they somehow find a way to power creep that. And then we got Times Pulse 4. So I think we figured out that Flare is it's a 3-turn, right? We have Times Pulse, and then we also have the weapon, which it gives us slaying. So it's technically a 2-turn on Soren. And then we have Times Pulse, which is going to reduce it to 1. So basically, with this base kit, we are going to have a 1-turn cooldown for Flare. So that's really nice. And I don't know. Soren looks great. He functions really uniquely.
Just give up.
I had a feeling they would go with his, like, Sage outfit. Particularly because Radiant Dawn Soren had won. Now the Golvig. Golvig is heavily saturated with color. And I'm okay with that. I think the color that's happening here is really interesting. I love whatever's happening with this. The gold and the black. I don't know. It's a visual sensory overlord. I don't know. So with this, we are effectively going to have a rainbow emblem for Golvig. She is a flyer. She is a blue tome flyer. Did not specifically make her a blue tome because I love every blue tome that exists. It's a safe design. It's obviously a callback to what we learned in a previous chapter. So I'm assuming that they're hoping that you played the most recent chapter of Heroes. Again, it's safe, but I feel like it's pretty well executed. I would have preferred a slightly heavier nod to the Summoner, specifically. But they did not do that. They did the nod to Sather. Which I think is also a pretty safe but appropriate thing. The issue that Golvig was always going to have, and I'm not sure if people were aware of this when they voted, but because she is a main story baddie, we're almost inevitably getting her as a mythic form. So whatever version of her we get before the mythic, which is the main antagonist for book 7, it's gonna have to compare to that in some capacity. So the reason why I thought they might make her a staff was to differentiate between the Golvig, who is the antagonist of book 7, and the brave Golvig, who was voted on in Choose Your Legends. They didn't do that. So now, because we have a brave Golvig in the tome family of all Golvigs, right? There's always going to be some sort of comparison there. And I feel as though that's why maybe she does not feel as unique as some of the other heroes. And when I say she doesn't feel as unique, don't mistake me for saying she's not good. Every unit is really, really solid this year, and they all feel very different. It feels as though they did not put a lot of time and effort into the designation of Golvig's kit, and that's what I mean by that. Still made effort. Again, everything feels safe but polished is what I will describe it as. It just I mean, that's like, I mean, most weapon skills are down here. What are we do? What are we doing? Only half of it's filled out. What's going on here? So the Cycle's Turn is her weapon. It does enable Canto. We do have Slaying in it. If we initiate or if bonus is active, we're getting an Omni buff of 5, and then we're granting attack and speed plus X to unit, where X equal the number of turns times 2, max of 10, so 5 turns. Our power caps out at 5 turns. Deals damage equal to 20% of unit speed, so we're getting some true damage there. And we're neutralizing effects that guarantee follow-up attacks and effects that prevent units follow-up attacks. So what she basically is a time gimmick or time reference. I feel like using the word gimmick makes it feel cheap, and it's not. But they're basically calling, okay, Golvig, Golden Seer, time manipulation, yada yada. They're putting that kind of reference in there with giving her true damage, null follow-up, and just buffs, basically, is what it is. So she is going to be a fast blue tome flyer. That's ultimately what it comes down to. She does not have anything super special in terms of a special. It's just Luna, which is probably fine. Flared Sparrow. We got Flared Sparrow, so the newest Sparrow skill in the family. If we initiate combat, deals 7 damage to foe as combat begins. Effects that reduce damage during combat do not apply. Will not reduce foe's HP below 1. We're granting attack speed plus 7 to unit during combat and apply Divine Vein Flame. So where Corin had the stone Divine Vein, Flared Sparrow, which is an inheritable skill, is giving the Vein effect of Flame. And it's basically going to be just in a straight line, 5 spaces long, centered on foe's space, oriented left to right for 1 turn. And so it's going to act as difficult terrain for foes with a range of 2. Costs +1 movement. Deals an additional 7 damage to foe. So, you know, obviously these terrain effects, these Divine Vein effects, we're going to see more. They're going to be different. I guess that's cool. This is what I was excited about in terms of diversity, specifically with building units, because when you're manipulating terrain, you have to kind of think about the team that you're putting the unit on specifically, and it's not just this 1v1 slugfest that I feel like a lot of unit kits are built to handle. So you kind of have to think a little bit more about team composition, which is cool. I like that. I myself have been thinking about how I don't use a lot of different units anymore like I used to. So I was going to build specific characters with specific kits for specific teams. And I think that it's a way to really diversify builds. Whereas, like I said, you can pretty much copy and paste certain builds, templates, onto just different characters. So I'm really excited for the future of Divine Vein skills and where that ends up. The best part is that it looks like it is skill based. So I don't think that means a new hero type, like I initially did in the Fae channel reaction that went up. So this is good news, I think, because we don't have to worry about another new hero type, and that might be a good thing. Chat, how do we feel about terrains? How do we feel about terrain skills? Let me know. Flood if you want. Let your voice be seen. So yeah, I think that's a great addition. Someone somewhere is probably going to disagree with me on that. Gold Unwinding is her preferred B skill, and then she also has attack speed of 4, which we know and love already. So we have inflicts speed res -5 on foe during combat at start of combat if unit's HP is greater than equal to 50%, and the unit initiates combat, reduces damage from foe's first attack by 60%. If unit initiates combat, grants another action to unit after combat, and inflicts gravity on unit and pair up cohort through their next action. Will not trigger again for 2 turns after triggering. So, I mean, she will just run through enemies for the most part. That's pretty much what she is. She's going to be a fast offensive tome flyer. That is what she is. And you know, again, we haven't had as much time with the character of Goldvig as we have had with characters like Soren and Corin. So the references or the little Easter eggs that might be hidden within their kits, their preferred skills, etc. It maybe feels a little lacking with Goldvig because of that. But you know, there is still the whole time thing. The whole time thing is definitely what is referenced with her overall. That is the Easter egg of her. She is the Golden Seer. And so maybe it doesn't feel as special because of that, but either way, she still looks great. The kit is nice. That was tight.
Fade away.
Bye, hell. See ya. It's been fun. And then we got Robin. Who, boy,
This far thanks to not only my
boy. I forgot what the hell 11 Sword looked like when this first showed up. Oh man. But I saw it and I was like, that definitely looks like the falchion hilt or something along those lines. But I was freaking out. I saw a sword and I was like, yo.
my successes, but also my setbacks.
He looks really good. We'll talk about that in a second. And his cloak and everything. Ugh. Everything on Robin looks amazing. We got Deliverer's Brand. Which is the sword. It's not 11 sword. It does have adaptive damage though, so that's something, I guess. That's close enough, right? We got speed +3 at start of combat if unit's HP is greater than equal to 25%. Grants Omni buff of 5 to unit, reduces damage from foes first attack by 40%, and neutralizes effects that grant special cooldown charge +6 to foe or inflict special cooldown charge -X. So we have tempo built in, we have damage reduction, we have buffing. What can't this man do? Well, let's throw in Special Spiral 4 while we're at it. You know what I mean? There's a lot going on in Deliverer's Brand, brother. Which again is kind of why I feel like Goldvig's weapon feels a little lacking to an extent. But maybe we're just spoiled by weapons doing like literally everything. Kind of like this. So at start of combat, if unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25%, and units triggers the Glowing Ember, Bonfire, or Ignis special, we get adaptive damage. So Robin and his Ignis, man, like that. Name a more iconic duo. I will wait. You can't. You can't. That's the thing. So we have attack speed finish 4 for his A skill. We love finish skills. They are goated. We have Gambit 4 for his B, which appears to be inheritable. Chat? Double check me. We have Inflict Speed Defense -4 on foe during combat. And also, if units or foes attack can trigger unit special, deals damage equal to during combat equal to unit's max special cooldown count. -2 × 5. Minimum of 0, max of 15. So the highest value cooldown count, if you do the math, is 5. Because 5 - 2 is 3 × 5, which is 15. It excludes AoE specials and reduces damage from attacks during combat and from AoE specials, excluding Rookers, by percentage equal to unit's max special cooldown count, value times 10, max of 50. So again, a 5-point value there. Everything checks out. Tip the scales. This is the most absurd thing, I think, out of Choose Your... Like, the Divine Vein stuff is absurd. But in a really cool way. Okay? It's a really cool way. Tip the scales is ridiculous. Now, keep in mind, we have a skill that grants Savior to non-armors. That's nutty. Okay? At start of turn, if unit is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants Rally Spectrum to unit and allies within 2 spaces of unit. Unit can move to a space adjacent to an ally with Rally Spectrum. That is 5 spaces of unit. If unit is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants attack speed, defense res +3 to unit during combat. Rally Spectrum is going to grant attack speed, defense res +5 to unit during combat, and if unit's attack can trigger unit special, grants special cooldown count -X to unit before unit's first attack during combat. X equals 1 if unit can trigger the unit attacks twice effect, or if unit's maximum special cooldown count is reduced. Otherwise, X equals 2. My man can go the entire map, y'all. It's nuts. This dude is going to run circles in summoner duels. Even AR, to be honest. I don't really care about those things, but to those who do, congratulations. You found your new king. Overall, I think it's really cool. I think it's a nice little nod, right? Tip the scales. We love that phrase. That's like the most iconic thing that Robin says. You know? I'm more of a Crom, pick a god and pray kind of guy, but tip the scales is also a good catchphrase.
A flawless strategy.
We love that too. And then we also had Cyril. Also, Cyril was here. Cyril's also here. He exists. Yes, I know. I'm a little bitter because I was really hoping that our GHB unit would be Stefan, because he had a good shot at it. And unfortunately, it's not. I was really just hoping for a free Stefan. But Cyril being a red bow is kind of cool, I guess. And I mean, he's Rhea's attendant, I think is what his official epithet is. So we're 1 degree of separation from Lady Rhea. So how could we be upset about that? I guess I just man, I was really hoping. I was coping hard. I was coping hard for a free Stefan, man. So you will be able to multi-spark on this banner. You will be able to multi-spark on this banner. You can do it to get every single one. But the thing to remember is that you can get, if you really only like one of these heroes, if you really only like one of the units, you can just get one for free. And you don't even have to enter the gacha to do that. You just pick your freebie and move about your day. I will, of course, be doing summonings. Big summonings. I haven't decided if I'm going to do any of it live yet, but they're all so cool. They're all so cool. In the back of my head, I was kind of like, dude, Corin has the most potential to be really neat. And the fact that they chose to introduce terrain skills here, or skills that affect terrain in some capacity, was a huge W for me. I really love that they did that. And the fact that Corin's weapon is what that skill is means that that's going to be just completely unique to her. And so I think of this batch, I think I like Corin and Soren the most. Just from a uniqueness perspective, I guess. I'm really pleased. As someone who didn't really have a horse in the race here, they all turned out really well. Like I said, relatively safe designs, but very elevated, very polished. And it seems like took their time, majoritively speaking, with each and every one to design a kit that is going to make the fan base relatively happy, gives a nod to them and their respective games, and really just makes... when I say I want to Choose Your Legends that feels unique, this is what I mean. This is like Choose Your Legends 3 again for me. And I really wasn't expecting to be that excited about it, but I am. And so I'm thrilled about that. Anyway, that's enough from me. Chat, say goodbye. We're going to go do fun things involving some sort of web event thing that's going on. I don't know what it is, but we're going to find out together. And if for whatever reason you see this, come hang out if I'm live. We'll be here. Anywho, that's it for me. I'm signing off for myself and chat, and I'll see you in the next one.